Welcome to the September Club. My name is Rich, this is Alejandro, and we have some incredible Spanish cheeses and accompaniments all in the box this month. This month we're really celebrating a taste of Spain that culminates in a big tasting event Saturday the 20th at both our locations, and a chance to win $250 gift cards at both locations. And you actually have a chance through the end of the month to sign up for and register for a trip to Spain.
Yeah, so hopefully somebody won.
Yeah, so they'll find out on September 30th when they draw the name for that. That's a nationwide thing. But locally, we're giving out a number of $250 gift cards at both locations, all celebrating Spain. And so we thought the club would be fun to mirror that. I know we've done Spain in the past, but we picked a completely different selection of cheeses and accompaniments. So we've got some really, really fun stuff. So, Alejandro, anything you want to jump in on? Or?
Besides having this Spanish tasting at the shop right now, this couple of weeks, I'm excited for everybody, especially for the people that has been in the club with us for a long time. You probably remember that we did Spanish Month a long time ago, but I'm excited for what we have because mostly what we have is almost all new to the club, and some things are also new to the shop. So hopefully really, really good for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah, some fun stuff. So for our standard club selection, we're starting out with the one soft cheese in that one. We have a soft sheep's milk cheese called Woolly Woolly. This is brought in by our friends at Mitica, and you just don't see fresh sheep's milk cheese very often. A lot of times, we're very familiar with fresh chev or goat's milk cheese. There are lots of different fresh cow's milk cheeses, but you don't really see fresh sheep that often.
Yes.
So it's kind of fun.
Especially being Spanish cheese team, we wanted something that will almost mimic or mirror the true authenticity of Spanish cheese, which is sheep's milk, and even that being in a softer version. But what I like the most about this one, that we carry this to the shop at all times, is how much different it is from a fresh goat cheese that Rich mentioned before. Being sheep's milk has this very buttery and creamy texture, so I'm excited for everybody to try and see. There's a big difference in flavor, but also texture-wise, what happens a lot when you first take a bite of the cheese and the way it coats your mouth, it's amazing.
Cool. Yeah, so then the other three cheeses that are in the club, I would say don't eat the rinds on those. They're waxy, so waxy is not really great for a rind enjoyment. But we're starting out with this one. This is a cheese that we've had in the shop before, but it's been a good while. This is Iberico, and Iberico is one of those cheeses that is hugely popular in Spain, but you don't see it all that often in the U.S. It's definitely not one of the most popular Spanish cheeses here, but typically it's a mixed milk cheese. So you've got goat's milk, cow's milk, sheep's milk, so you've got all of those in there. And it's pretty mild, relatively young. It's a really fun cheese to just put out, snack on. Great with almost everything.
But it has this amazing quality, which we have done this before at the club. When you happen to have a cheese that's mixed milk, it has this much more complex flavor profile. And I feel like that happens a lot with this one, especially when we're having two other cheeses that are Manchego-esque-like. This one has this very creamy texture because being on the younger side, but the mixture of cow, sheep, and goat has so much depth in the flavor of the cheese.
Yeah, it's just a different expression. It's not going to be really what you expect when you see a cheese like this and you think Manchego. This is definitely going to be a different flavor profile and everything else. Speaking of Manchego, we have what one former staff member liked to call Manchego's younger, better-looking brother in Zamorano. So Zamorano comes from a different region of Spain than Manchego, Extremadura. It also comes from milk from a couple different breeds of sheep that is different than Manchego. And for me, Zamorano is one of those when someone comes in the shop and they're like, I really like Manchego, that is the cue for me to say, hey, do you want to try something similar but different? And Zamorano kind of really fits that category, kind of spot, right?
Yeah. Especially when we have a lot of people that comes in and they actually want Manchego, but we try to always maybe showcase things that are in the same category with different characteristics. I feel like Zamorano has this amazing quality of being so close to Manchego, but the texture is similar, but there's so much more sweetness and this nutty side from the cheese that's not as maybe obvious or to put your finger on when you have true manchego.
Yeah, for sure. But once again, this is one of those cheeses. This one and the next one, two cheeses that I really like to slice thin and just a little olive oil on top. That's a great way to snack on it.
Yeah.
And this cheese, when it comes to temperature, it's going to release some of the oils in the cheese already. So that olive oil makes a great addition. So our last cheese for the standard club is a cheese with a lot of syllables. This is Idiazabal. And it is a very traditional cheese that originally, these ancient origins, the cheesemakers, these shepherds, they would have their cheeses. They lived in these huts that had kind of like a conical center, and that was where the smoke went out, and they'd build a fire in the middle and sleep around the outside. And as these nomadic shepherds would kind of move with their sheep, they would hang these wheels up in the top of their, hut or whatever, and the smoke from the fire would gently smoke the outside. And that's what you have here. You've got the modern version of it. They're using beechwood, cherry, and hawthorn to smoke the outside. It is a lightly smoked cheese, so like a lot of times when somebody comes in and they're like, hey, do you have a smoked Gouda? The answer is no, but we do have a few smoked cheeses, and one of the things I love about Idiazabal is that the complexity of the flavor of sheep's milk really takes on the flavor of smoke well, and it stays within balance, and the smoke really kind of adds just a nice touch to the overall experience. It's really good.
And I think it makes it much more enjoyable because this is a cheese that opposed to maybe other ones that we had before that are smoked. This wheel is slightly smoked after it has been made. So the flavor profile that develops through the smokiness still lets, like you mentioned, the flavors of the sheep's milk shine through, and the sweetness of that with the slightly meaty flavor of the smokiness is a really, really well-balanced cheese.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of accompaniments, Alejandro. What do we got?
Yes. The first one that we're doing, everybody, we're going to get a little clamshell of Spanish cocktail mix. We've done before the Kikos, which is the giant corn nuts that are puffed and salted, but this is a mixture of different ones. We got a little bit of corn, fava beans, some Valencia almonds, as well as chickpeas. The texture that you get from all the different beans and nuts, it creates this more like slightly creamy, a little crunchy, dry, and the saltiness is really, really good with the manchego. I like that a lot. And then the one that we have, again, some crackers. We wanted to keep it, again, the Spanish theme, and this is one that's fairly new to the shop. We never had something like this before, but in Nuestro Sales, we had a couple of other items at the shop as well as for the club before, but they make amazing artisanal products, and these crackers all are made with an olive oil base, and this was a flavor with manchego. So since we have 3 manchego-like cheeses, we wanted to keep the flavor going with accompaniments too.
Yeah, it's like we're like bringing it all together. The manchego hopefully ties it, rounds it all out. And that Spanish cocktail mix, like if you've ever been to like a bar that serves tapas, like that kind of mix of things is not going to be an unusual sight. It's going to be kind of a welcoming thing, so hopefully you guys really enjoy that. With the Deluxe Club, we've got a couple of really interesting cheeses. One that we've never had before, and that's this big guy right here. This is Mr. Roy. This is a cheese that's named after a cheesemonger, believe it or not. I'm still waiting for someone to name a cheese after me. I don't know that it's going to happen. But named after a cheesemonger that introduced this producer to English-style cheddars. And so this is, it's definitely not a cheddar. And when you try it, you'll know that pretty immediately. It's made with goat's milk. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Cheshire or even like Tome Brûlée. I mean, not Tome Crayus, actually, from France. It's got this like kind of
fudgy,
texture, and it gets soft near the rind. Really interesting cheese. Like I said, large format, goat's milk. Raw milk, really fascinating. Natural rind. This is definitely a rind you do not want to eat. When it showed up, it was extremely rustic. It had a lot of like crazy neon red molds and orange molds on the outside. which is kind of wild to see, but the cheese itself really fun.
And this is one that we have never had before at the shop. We opened it this morning, and to the eye, I think it looks a little different than what the texture could be like.
Yeah.
And this is also made with a specific breed of goats called Chura goats, which they have a very complex and deep flavor for the milk. But I like a lot for this cheese, which happens most times like the cheeses that you mentioned, especially French cheeses. Through the aging creates these two layers, which hopefully everybody gets that on your piece. You'll see how closer to the rind it gets a little more fudgy and soft in texture. The flavors get a little more earthy and meaty, but the texture in the center that it will look a little more bright and white than the rind has this almost like, again, fudgy, not cheddar-like texture, but slightly drier. Then it was delicious, very enjoyable, but really, really interesting flavor profile for a goat's milk.
Yeah, it's very cool. We have another goat's milk for the Deluxe Club, and that is one of our favorites. This is Montenegro, and a cheese that we carry a lot, but it's not always in the case at all times, but we do try to carry it on a pretty frequent basis. This is a cool cheese because this is an external blue. So a lot of times when you're having a blue cheese, the blue mold is on the inside. This is a cheese where the blue mold is actually only on the outside of the cheese, and there's also some ash on the outside as well, which gives it that kind of dark coloration. But if you just eat the inside, the paste, what you're going to get is you're going to get a very complex goat cheese. Maybe there's like a hint of bluing in there, but it's really more just like an interesting fudgy goat cheese. If you try the rind, and I would suggest trying small bites at first because it's pretty powerful, that's where you're going to get kind of that big peppery punch.
But I think that's the beauty of this cheese because it's pretty much you get to choose your own adventure. The taste of the cheese is very mild in the sense that you do taste the goat's milk, but it's maybe not as strong as you would think for a blue cheese. And then the rind adds that pepperiness touch to it. But the texture of the cheese, again, it's something that for being a blue cheese, you still have the quality of a softer cheese, but the blue doesn't overpower the texture of the cheese.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have some pretty interesting accompaniments for the Deluxe Club. We're taking a leap here.
Yes, I think for most people that have been on the club, hopefully the taste has developed a little longer through the months, so we thought this would be something cool to have in the club. The first one that we're doing is some potato chips from Jose Andres. Jose Andres, I feel like it's a pioneer when it comes to Spanish food items, especially for America, and these potato chips are just made with salt, olive oil, and potatoes. The texture is beautifully thin, crispy, but it should be really, really good with especially the goat cheese to add some sort of textural element. And then the last one that we have is some sardines from Espinalers. Espinaler also as well, a great producer for artisanal made conservas or tinned fish. We carry big amount of the things. And ideally, this will be really, really good with the potato chips. That's why we have it in the same tier. But don't be afraid to try it with other things. I feel like this is one of those things that having some sort of flavors combined, that's what makes the flavor of the fish marry so well with the cheese, especially with the Montenegro and the sardines and potato chips. You get all these textural elements and a little bit of the umami from the fish and this bright, more tangy flavor from the goat cheese. So that would be amazing too.
Yeah, and I will say, like, if you've never had, like, there's one thing about, like, you know, tuna in a can or whatever, but like conservas are really more of an art form in preserving really beautiful seafood. And so, like, when you open this up, I mean, all of these are individually placed by hand.
Almost like a mosaic.
They really are cool, and then the taste also follows it well as well. Just really beautiful flavors, and so you know, jump in, give it a try. I think you will find that it is delicious and really enjoyable. Yes. There's a whole culture around conservas, and we want to get more people excited about that because I definitely love this.
And Spanish cheese was the best way to introduce this in the club.
Yeah, and if you're a new club subscriber, we don't put tinned fish in every club, so don't worry about it. This is the first time we've done it. Probably won't happen for a long, long time, but for this club, you do get it. So anyway, that is the club focused on Spain. Tons of great cheeses, some fun accompaniments. Next month, we are doing something different.
Yeah.
we are going to put together a selection of cheese and accompaniments to help you and to help teach you how to build the perfect board. That's really kind of our goal. So we'll have some additional fun information in there on like how to present, but we'll have a great selection of things that and styles that would make kind of that perfect entertainment showpiece for friends, family, or whatever. As we're getting closer into the end of the year where entertaining is more of a thing, we thought this would be fun for October to kind of get you ready, and plus like we didn't have enough scary cheese ideas to do anything Halloween related.
But I think that's great, yeah, because getting closer to the holidays, hopefully everybody gets to learn a little bit from next month, and then your bugs for November and December, you get to make the most beautiful board.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, there we go. There's the club. Thank you guys for being a part of it. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you Saturday the 20th for our tasting at both locations. Come and go, noon to 4. And then we hope to see you next month. Anyway, you guys enjoy.